Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I do my makeup, I do reviews. Today I'm inviting you to get ready with me as I put on makeup for a thumbnail that I'm going to be taking a picture of today for my second channel, which is an ASMR channel. Link to the video will be down below, and today I'm going to be having some fun and I just want to invite you to come and get ready with me. So recently I went on a trip with my parents to San Antonio to get away for a little while. We've been quarantining in the house for a while, and I know it's kind of redundant that we did that, but we just had to get out. We were kind of getting cabin fever, and we most definitely did wear our masks while we were in San Antonio and while we were in Fredericksburg. Went and did some shopping, and we came across the Morphe store in San Antonio at the North Star Mall. If you've never been there, it is really awesome and I highly recommend it. I've always said that I've never felt welcomed at Sephora, especially after one of my friends stopped working there. And the Morphe store, all of the employees were so freaking helpful. They were so nice. They were able to help us out with everything. They kept recommending different products to us that they thought that we would have liked. So my mom ended up getting a palette by Maddie Ziegler, I believe. That's her palette. And I ended up actually getting a couple of things. I got the limited edition Coca-Cola palette. And I also found something really awesome. I found the Louise Bada black base cosmetic base for your eyeshadow. I've heard really good things about this. I actually have a white one as well, so I ended up getting a white one and I got a black one. I really want to do a smoky eye look with the Coca-Cola palette today, so with that I'm going to be using the black base as well to create a kind of red smoky shadow. Now again, if you like what you see here today, don't forget to subscribe, click that like button and the bell button, and comment what you would like to see for the next video. I'm just kind of messing around today, not going to take it too seriously, but there are some things I want to talk about. So I've been trying to figure out how to make this channel a lot more productive, in that I want to have something new to talk about all the time. I don't just want to kind of come on here and ramble. So I made a list of things that would be cool to talk about. So I'm going to try my best to list all of the products that I used in today's video down below. And I'm also going to have a link that everyone can follow if they're interested for my ASMR channel or my second YouTube channel. I pretty much started that second channel, which was actually my first channel, and then this became my second channel. I started that channel when I was in high school. I came across, I think when I was in high school is when the ASMR fad was just starting. So I started the channel back then. I gained a lot of subscribers, but I was kind of nervous about anyone finding out about it, so I didn't really do it as often as I wanted to. I don't know, I was just like worried that my parents would come into my room and wondering what the hell I was doing at like 3 a.m. making videos where I was whispering and tapping stuff. But now I'm just kind of owning it because I did really like doing it before. I was just really nervous about what people would think, and now I just really don't care what people think anymore. So now I realize that me worrying about what people think about me all the time is really holding me back. I recently, right before I was filming this video, I did an ASMR video with the crazy poppin' cooking candies. It's those candies that they came from Japan. They're really interactive candies, and by that I mean you make them, like you make the candy right in front of you, and they look like little ramen stuff, pretty much. Like it looks like a bowl of ramen, and it looks like gyoza, and it looks like all these cute little foods, but in candy form. So first of all, I'm just gonna say it was fun doing it. However, 0 out of 10 recommend actually eating the candies, because it was so, oh my god. I wish I had gotten a reaction video of my brother and I trying them, because honestly, they were so gross. It was like a really mushy fruit roll up. Like, it was disgusting. That's the best way I can really describe it. And I also know that y'all noticed, like, I got a nose piercing. Well, I've been unemployed for a little while, and I'm just, you know, having fun with right now while I'm unemployed. And also, I know that my job, when I go back, they're not gonna care if I'm wearing a nose piercing or not, because it's a bar. And same with the hair too. Actually, the hair, big mistake. Only reason why I recommend this is because my hair looks peach when I wanted it hot pink, and I didn't really do the roots very well, so that whole, like, this whole hair look I'm gonna be redoing. A lot of people tell me it looks good. Like, my brother told me it looks peach, but I don't even like peach in the first place. I really wanted it to be hot pink because my boyfriend wants me to do a Sakura cosplay. He thinks that I could pull it off, so that was the whole point of me doing my hair like this, but I don't like the way it came out, not one bit. Okay, so a few things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Chillz and Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction were not very good at their jobs. We're also going to talk about the Freezer Mom case, which really interested me, and I'm not going to make a whole video about it because there's really no point. I did the best I could, like, trying to dig up information on this case, but I just couldn't find any. And we're also going to talk a little bit of conspiracy today. Obviously, the first thing that I'm going to talk about right now is Jules Winfield and Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction. Now, Pulp Fiction is literally one of my favorite movies. I can quote that movie like nobody's business. And it's one of my favorite movies to quote. If I'm not doing anything, it's one of my favorite movies to put on in the background. Or if I just want background noise, you know, just white noise to mute out the silence in my room. I love putting that on, and I'll just have it on in the background, but sometimes I'll realize that it's on and I'll, like, sit down and watch it, and it's like the first time I'm watching it, but it's actually like the 30th time that I've watched it. I came across this YouTube channel called CinemaSins, and I'm gonna link it down below. Pretty much this guy, he counts the sins in a movie in, like, I don't know, like 20 minutes. And the first thing that I noticed was that he was saying, well, I mean, I watched the whole video, right? But the guy was saying that Jules Winfield and Vincent Vega are not very good at their jobs. And I didn't realize it, but they're not. So if you remember in the beginning of the movie, for those of y'all who have never watched it, it's not really a spoiler. It's more of like, the movie came out in the mid-90s. If you haven't seen it by now, come on and do yourself a favor. It's just one of the greatest movies of all time. But the guy pretty much pointed out the flaw that I've never noticed before. But, okay, so Vincent Vega is played by John Travolta, and Samuel L. Jackson plays Jules Winfield. Also, they have a friend who's in the apartment with them. Like, they have, like, one of their coworkers, I guess you could say, or somebody who was in the job with them. Played by Phil LaMarr, which, if you don't know who he is, Phil LaMarr voices Hermes Conrad from Futurama, and he also voices Grim from The Grim Adventures of Billy Mandy, and he voices Samurai Jack from the show Samurai Jack. So, Phil LaMarr comes out in it, and he is Jules and Vincent's friend who's in the apartment with them. Now, if you don't know this scene, pretty much, Jules and Vincent are going up into this apartment to get a suitcase back from this white guy and his two friends and Phil LaMarr. So there's like 4 people in the apartment. But hear me out. At the very beginning of the movie, Jules and Vincent, they're kind of having an argument already. They're not so much having an argument, but they're having a kind of useless conversation about a Big Mac, what a Big Mac's name is in Europe, which CinemaSins ended up pointing out that this whole conversation was pointless to the movie. It did nothing for the movie, and I didn't realize that until it was pointed out to me. Anyways, when they get to the apartment, they get there at like 7 in the morning, and right when they get there, they start asking each other how many guys are up in the building. Vincent says there's probably about 3 or 4. They're arguing about whether they should have brought shotguns to the job with them, which, thinking about it now, it's so true. They like were not good at their jobs, not the slightest bit, because I feel like a really good hitman would know immediately, like, yeah, let's take shotguns just in case. They would pretty much have their car like built up for this. They're having a conversation about massaging women's feet, which goes to show that their minds were completely somewhere else. Their minds were not focused on their job in the first place. So Jules and Vincent just walk in and they don't bother searching the entire apartment to see if there's more people. And also, Amar's character doesn't even bother telling them that there's another guy who's hiding in the bathroom with a gun. And that was Alexis Arquette's character, who was like in the movie for like 0.5 seconds before she got shot off. So then it goes to when they're driving out of when they're going back to, I guess, see their boss. Vincent Vega has a gun pointing in Amar's face and shoots him. Now Vincent Vega, John Travolta's character, says that he doesn't know how the gun went off because he swears that he wasn't trying to shoot him. It was just an accident. Now, here's the thing. They're driving around in broad daylight. The gun goes off. There's blood all over the back windshield, which it doesn't even matter at this point because that's not what I'm trying to get at. So they take the dead body, which is Amar's body, and they take him to their friend. I just remember it's Quentin Tarantino. I can't remember who. Jimmy, that's the name, Jimmy. So they take him to their friend Jimmy's house. And here's where it kind of gets shocking. And I don't know if Quentin Tarantino just did this for shock value or just to show his entitlement in the movie, but Jimmy pretty much just uses the N-word nilly-willy pretty much this entire scene of the movie. But Jimmy is also married to the black woman. Now here's where my whole film theory about this comes from. Alright, so hear me out. I think that Jimmy, Jules, and Vincent probably all knew each other from like college, let's just say high school, right? And I feel like Jules and Vincent and Jimmy, they were all like this trio that like always talked about killing somebody, you know? Or maybe they were in the army together, I don't know, but because there's really no more of a backstory to it. So I'm thinking that that's probably why that Jimmy feels so inclined to just throw the N-word around. But I also think it could be that Jimmy knew that Jules and Vincent had this like sick obsession with wanting to kill people, or maybe he knew that they were really good at killing people at one time because, you know, maybe they were in the army together. And fucking he probably ended up financing their whole operation because they don't seem like they have very good, like they just don't seem like they really know what they're doing, especially with the mistakes that they already made when they got to the apartment in the first place, which was they didn't bring shotguns, they didn't have silencers, they didn't check the apartment to see if there was anybody else in the apartment that could probably have killed them in the first place. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that Jimmy probably asked Jules and Vincent, hey, I'll give y'all money. And this is just a theory, like, before the movie even took place, right? He probably ended up asking them, like, hey, I'll give y'all guys money to kill this person. And if y'all do a good enough job, I've got a boss who I launder money for, who y'all could probably do some killings for. That's what I'm thinking. Because, honestly, hitmen, the way my boyfriend said it is that hitmen are not really, like, they're not really freelance artists. They're more like, oh, like they're gonna help one boss pretty much, and that one boss just so happened to be Marcellus Wallace. But they had to have an in somehow. And again, they're not very good at their jobs because, I mean, Jules is a prime example of that because of the fact that every time he goes to the bathroom, something freaking happens. Just period. Whether it be Neil Wallace ODing on his drugs, or it would be him going to the bathroom, and then Butch shows up at the apartment and he gets killed, which if you don't know what I'm talking about, oh, Vincent, sorry, I said Jules, I meant Vincent. Or he's at the diner and Vincent's in the bathroom and the whole place is getting shot up. So that's what I'm thinking happened. I'm thinking that, you know, Jules and Vincent obviously haven't been doing their jobs for very long. And you can see the frustration in Jimmy's face, obviously, because there's no sign on the front of his lawn that says dead N-word storage. But yeah, I'm sure like it would piss anybody off. Like, guys, I hired y'all to do one thing and you can't even do that one thing. That's my theory. Like I said, it's not necessarily a good theory per se. It's just a theory. If anybody wants to comment on that, maybe they can add on their own perspective. You are more than welcome to add on your perspective on what you think is the actual story, because Pulp Fiction doesn't really give us a background on Jules and Vincent, except for the fact that they haven't been doing it for that long. They're not very well. They can't really say that. They've been doing it. They haven't been doing it very well. Jules is smart enough to get out of the business before he got killed, whereas Vincent wasn't very smart and he ended up getting killed. So I think that was probably the moral of the story, was y'all need to do better. Like, because if, for those of y'all that have never seen it, there's a scene where they should have been killed, but they weren't. Also, another conspiracy that I want to talk about real quick is the fact that I believe that when the election is over, I don't care who wins, but, well, I mean, I don't care because I literally don't care for any of the candidates. And I know people are going to say, well, if you don't vote, like, you can't complain. Well, here's the thing. I did vote. I voted, and I totally did not want Biden to be running again, but I didn't want Trump to be running either. So honestly, like, the person I wanted to be in office was Andrew Yang, Yang Gang, for those of y'all that don't know. I really wanted him. I thought he had some great ideas that I really agreed with, and he's a young, fresh face, and it's like, oh yes, like, hell yeah, Yang Gang. But that just ended up not being the case. People, when I say people, I mean the Democratic Party just was like, no, we're just gonna go back with Biden. So, but here's what I believe. I believe that as soon as elections are over, there's gonna be a miraculous drop in COVID cases. It doesn't matter who wins, honestly. I just believe that after the election is over, this whole COVID scare is going to be over with, and they're going to find a cure that doesn't have any side effects or anything like that. That's what I believe. Honestly, like, don't take my word for it. I'm just pretty much spitballing here, honestly. Like, I would not take my own word for it, honestly. I could be wrong, but just in case if I'm not wrong, you heard it here first. The next thing that I want to talk about, because I pretty much blew through pretty much the rest of the stuff, like, super quickly, is I want to talk about the Blair Mitchell freezer. Wait, did I say that right? Hold up, I got my notes right here. Okay, I did say it right. The Blair Mitchell freezer mom case. So, I don't even remember the timeline of this. I remember the timeline took place between, I want to say, like 2012 to 2015. The whole time span was like 3 years that this happened. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, she had 4 kids. The first 2 were from one baby daddy, and the last 2 were from another baby daddy. Blair Mitchell was a mom from Michigan, and one day her youngest son, her baby, who was about, I want to say like 6 years old at the time, I could be wrong, but her son was about 6 years old at the time when he came up to her and said, supposedly said, my 2 older siblings are sexually abusing me. Now, when I say the 2 older siblings, I mean there's 4 of them. This is the youngest. These are the middle 2. The older one, totally out of the question right now. Is not involved in this so far. But apparently the 2 middle kids were sexually abusing their little brother. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm gonna get back to you on that. So, apparently the child was very descriptive in how he was being abused by his older siblings. And here's what happened. The mom ended up talking to one of the 2 middle ones. She ended up talking to her son, because it was her son and her daughter who were apparently abusing their younger sibling. So the mom asked, Blair asked her son, "Are you doing this?" Apparently, he said yes. He admitted to it. Because what she ended up doing was she ended up torturing him for 2 weeks before she subsequently murdered him. And the thing is that she tortured him to a point where she apparently smothered him at one point with a plastic bag around his head, and ended up reviving him just so that way she could keep torturing him for the remainder of the 2 weeks that he was alive. So she poured boiling hot water on him, and she just tortured him for 2 weeks. And then after she tortured him, she killed him, and she stuffed him in a freezer. Believe it or not. Crazy bitch. So 9 months later, she questions her daughter, who was apparently involved in the abuse too. And she questioned her by saying, "Did you do this?" And apparently the daughter admitted to it also, saying yes. Apparently there was some animosity between the daughter, or I guess the children, and the youngest sibling, which was the one in question who was being abused. And again, Blair abusing her daughter, torturing her for about 2 weeks before she did the same thing. She killed her and stuffed her body in a freezer, in the same freezer where she stuffed her other child. Now, here's the crazy thing. The bodies were not found for 3 years. Nobody went looking for the kids, and I'm going to add on as to why. So again, this family lived in Michigan, and in Michigan, if a parent takes their child out of school, they are not, the school district, the state is not obligated to check in on the children, to do a welfare check pretty much, to see if like they're doing okay, if they're getting the education that they need. They're just not. And the fathers as well were not involved at all with their children. They didn't bother calling them for 3 years. They didn't go by the house to check on them, like, at all. It's really sad. So these kids pretty much went missing for 3 years, and the only reason why they were found was because Micheal, I don't know, who cares at this point, I'm just gonna call her Blair. Blair was $2,600 freaking behind on her rent. And the only reason why the children were found in the first place was because the landlord was going into the house to evict them. And the landlord went into the house and already noticed something was wrong. The landlord noticed that the kids were nowhere to be found. The house was absolutely filthy, and noticed a big freezer in front of the regular refrigerator. So the landlord ended up going, ended up opening the freezer because I guess that's where, I want to say that's where the smell was coming from. I'm not really sure. I think because if something's frozen, there wouldn't really be a smell, right? So I think the landlord just ended up kind of being a nosy person. And opened up the freezer, it's, you know, itself. I don't think that the landlord like had much of a hunch or anything. I think the landlord just wanted to see like what was going on, because honestly, if the landlord didn't open, either ways, if the landlord didn't open that freezer, those kids would have probably gone forever without being noticed. And when, this is a crazy thing, this freaking crazy bitch, she not only admitted to the crime, she admitted proudly too. She pretty much said, yeah, I do it again. She said that this whole like the reason why she tortured the kids for so long and why she killed them was because she herself went through sexual abuse when she was a child, and it triggered her so badly that she needed to torture them for 2 weeks at a time. It's just really sad, honestly. Like, the sad part, I think the sadder part is that nobody even really knows if her youngest child was actually abused or not. Because nobody, well, I mean, the whole point of the case wasn't the fact like, oh, why did she kill the children? It was more like, did she do it? And she did admit to it. She had nothing else to say after that. I've been trying to look around for court documents, and I've pretty much read nothing on like the case at all. And it's, I think it's just sad, the fact that, you know, like I said, these kids went missing for so long and nobody even bothered, nobody checked up on them. And it's weird because it's like, didn't these kids have friends? Like, didn't they have friends who like were worried about them in the first place? Like, the whole thing is just, it's just sad. And I think like really deep down, like, the mom, Blair, she really did love her kids, especially the remaining ones. And I say that because when it came to, I guess, the sentencing, or I guess when they were gonna, sorry, I might have been loud. I guess when they were gonna start relocating the children, Blair pretty much begged the court to not send the children back with her baby daddy. She begged him. She said, I think verbatim, she said, not verbatim, I think that's the wrong word to use, but I think she pretty much asked the court to not send the children back with her ex-husbands or the baby daddies, because even she said, like, these kids were missing for 3 years and they never bothered to check up on their own kids. So what Blair did was she actually kind of begged the court for the kids to actually go live with her aunt, who herself was a caseworker. And I think it was because of the fact, like, she knew that her aunt, or whoever it was, I don't know how she knows this person, but she said that her family could give her a better life, could give her kids a better life than she could. Like, honestly, like, as sweet as that is, I think it's already kind of past that point. And I say that because the kids, apparently, the remaining kids that were found, did have signs of abuse on them. I don't know what to think of this case. If y'all, whatever y'all think about this case, I would really like to hear y'all's thoughts. So that way there can kind of be an open discussion about it. And I know it's like, whatever, like, she is like a child killer, but the case is just so fascinating. And that, I mean, like, I want to know what her mindset was. I want to know if the children were actually like abusing their little brother, because if so, like, I mean, I don't blame Blair for being upset with her children, but it's not a call for infanticide, which is a word used to describe animals who kill their children out in the wild. And that's kind of the best way I can say it. I'm not sympathetic to her at all at this point because, again, she did kill her children. And I feel like if most people were to find out that their children were abusing their other sibling, I feel like the parent would obviously call authorities first, or not even call authorities. Most parents would like hide that, but Blair decided to kill her children for that, and I think that's pretty freaking extreme. Like, I don't know, I feel like most parents would hide it, that's for sure. And then I feel like most other parents would try and get their children help and try and separate their children from each other, not murder each other. What I would like to say is I'm definitely upset that nobody went to go check on the kids at all. Like, these poor kids were missing for such a long time and nobody went looking for them. And I think it's shitty the fact that Michigan has no obligation to check to see if the children are okay, if they're out of school, if they were pulled out of school. I think that that's totally wrong, because I know here in Texas that if you take your kid out of school, they definitely do welfare checks to make sure that the kids are doing schooling in the first place, that there is at least evidence of the children doing the schooling. And the fact that Michigan didn't do that, I definitely feel like the state of Michigan is partially responsible for the children's death in the first place. Because as sad as it is to say, it is true that they definitely did have a play in it for not going and checking on the children. I don't know, I just feel like the state of Michigan should have at least checked on the kids like the first week or so that they like were out of school. I don't know, there just has to be some things in place for that. I think the whole case is shocking. I think the whole state is just at fault for the children dying as well, because I feel like if they were able to go to the house, you know, like if they heard like, oh, okay, if you're gonna take your kids out of school, we need to make sure that everything is up to code, that they're going to be taking the right programs, that they're in a safe environment. Because a lot of the times abusers will take children out of school just to keep abusing them, you know? I don't know, I just think the whole thing is weird at all. And definitely fuck the dads for not checking on their kids in 3 years. In fact, I think that between the two fathers, they owed together close to $80,000 in child support. Like, but apparently Blair was like a really good parent. She was a strict parent, but just because a parent is strict doesn't necessarily mean that they're abusive. Yeah, comment down below to comment, you know, if you like the story, if you have any comments on the story. Actually, if anybody has any like updates on the story at all, I know that the mom was in prison and that she actually attacked a child predator in prison, which is crazy considering the fact that she killed her children in the first place. I don't know. Micheal Blair will definitely, like, that case is definitely going down in history as one of the most head-boggling ones, because of just the entire circumstances, you know, from the children not being checked on by the state, from her torturing them for 2 weeks before she killed them, from, you know, whether or not it was true that the children were actually abusing the child in the first place. So, yeah, wow. I gotta say, I really like this P. Louise Bada black base. Heck yes, 10 out of 10, definitely recommend. I also have, I believe it's here. So I actually also have the white base as well. So I have both, let's see. I have both the black base and the white base, and oh my god, these are freaking awesome. I'd highly recommend. I can't recommend these two products enough. They're freaking amazing, y'all. Like, wow. Wow, I don't really know what else to talk about. I kind of just end up going through all of the almost all the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Oh, on TikTok, I'm gonna see if I could post the video somehow, but there's this guy, and this is really interesting, but there's this guy who says that in an Egyptian tomb they found a Swiss Army watch ring, not a watch per se, but they found this like a sculpture, a little tiny ring sculpture of a Swiss Army watch ring. And I think it's pretty interesting only because that the Swiss Army watch ring was not invented for like a few thousand years, you know? So how did this little sculpture of this ring end up in a Egyptian tomb? I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm gonna link it down below, but pretty much the guy in the video stated that it's a really good sign of time travelers. I am one to believe that I think time travel is true. It's just it obviously hasn't been invented in this time as we know it. It's obviously been invented in another time. So I am of the mindset that time travel will be true one day, and I think that is probably one of the more definite signs of it, because pretty much all of the people in the comments, they couldn't argue that the sculpture was a fake. They couldn't argue it like one bit. It was just too, like, it had, I think it had like the little symbol of the Swiss, you know, the Swiss brand symbol on there. It was just a really interesting story, and I thought it was really cool. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of glitter on this. I'm gonna see how this works out. Guys, I can't recommend this palette enough. It's so freaking so nice. Let's see if I can do some right. Oh wait, I kind of like that. So I'm not gonna lie, the glitter is like, I would not put that so close to my eye. Like, I feel like the glitter, like, it definitely shouldn't be that close to the cornea, but also it's like, it looks good. Oh, also, have y'all guys caught up with any new episodes of The Boys yet? Because, oh my freaking god, the whole show is such a ride. Like, oh, excuse me. The whole show is such a ride. It's definitely worth it. Like, I freaking love it so much. Also, if y'all haven't watched it yet, my personal favorite show is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's literally my favorite. Like, oh my god, I can't talk about that show enough. So it pretty much follows this housewife. Her name is Midge Maisel. Her husband leaves her one day, and she ends up becoming a comedian. Like, she pretty much just uses her pain to tell jokes. And the whole show is freaking awesome. Shazam comes out in it, Zachary Levi, and he's such a freaking babe. I'm like, oh my god, yes. So in my next video that I'm gonna do, which will not be for a while because I need to kind of gather information on it, I'm gonna be doing a video on a legendary story, and by legendary I mean, like, it's definitely a cautionary tale, but it did happen. It's about this gentleman. His name was Mark Kilroy, and he was abducted in like the late 80s, early 90s, and he was abducted by the cartel in Mexico, and he was killed. So I'm gonna be talking about that next time. I'm also gonna try and get some more true crime stories. If there's anybody from the RGV area who has some really good kind of creepy stories that they want to share, I'm more than welcome to accepting them, because I kind of want to do a whole like series on like telling creepy stories, like creepy ghost stories that happen here in Texas. So like the San Antonio railroad track stories. My folks and I were just in San Antonio, and we were driving somewhere. I can't even remember where. I think we were driving to the market square, and we were driving by a car, and I noticed that the car had baby powder on the back of it, and it also had handprints. And I was freaking out because I was like, oh my god, like, did they go to the railroad tracks? Like, I completely forgot about the railroad tracks. And then there's this guy in my hometown who is doing a documentary on this really, really weird, like, it's not really a ghost story, it's more like a legendary mythological creature called the pájaro, which means like a big bird. It was this pretty much this big bird that was terrorizing my hometown for like a really long time. Like even one of my uncles had a run-in with this freaking bird. And I know it's like, that's like so obscure, right? Like, what do you mean a bird? Like, no, I'm being serious. Like, there was a big ass bird that was causing terror in my hometown for like the longest time. And nobody's really seen it since. I mean, it's kind of one of those stories that like was told about back in the old days, but one of my cousins or one of my uncles, it wasn't the pájaro, it was actually lechuza, but that's a story for another time. But yeah, since we're gonna be coming up on the month of October, I'm gonna be doing a series where we talk about ghost stories, like ghost stories in your area, and mainly in Texas, only because, you know, obviously this is where I'm from, but I'm willing to accept stories from pretty much anywhere. I have my own ghost stories that I want to share with y'all that I think are very genuine, and by that I mean, well, it's because I lived them. And yeah, so yeah, wow, I really wanted to do a goth look today, and I did. I really hope that y'all aren't bored with today's video. If y'all are, like, just drop some comments on what I should be doing next time. Oh, and also I think I'm gonna be doing a video on best makeup products to actually use, because there are products that I really like to use and some that I will freaking never ever ever use ever again, because they are honestly garbage. Like, I will never ever use products by the company LA Girl, for the reason being that some of their products just suck. Like, some of their products actually really do suck. I bought eyeliner, and the eyeliner was shit. I bought lip plumper, and the lip plumper burned my lips. It was the absolute worst. Yeah. And then there's this really cool makeup artist that I follow. His name is Michael. This guy right here. This woman, sorry. Micheal Vanity Cosmetics. She is from my hometown as well. God, Chris, I'm so sorry. I don't really know what pronouns to use with you. Please correct me. I will check with you in Messenger. But yeah, wow, I look a little scary, but it's fine. This is perfect. I'm gonna call this my Deadpool look because it's just red and black. My boyfriend wanted me to do a Deadpool inspired look anyways. So, also, I know I say a lot of words all the time. It's only because I'm awkward and I don't know how to talk sometimes. I mean, I do know how to talk, but I don't know. It's different when you're, when it has to do with, like, video, you know? Like, I don't really plan my videos ahead of time. I just kind of do whatever. Yeah. By the way, I highly recommend anybody, if you're thinking about getting that if you're thinking about getting that tattoo, or you're thinking about getting that piercing, freaking do it. I got this piercing about almost a month ago, and my boyfriend said that it's like he doesn't have the same girlfriend anymore. We've been together for about 7 months now, and he says that he pretty much has like a whole new girlfriend. Like, he's just like totally shocked with the amount of change that a piercing can do to a person. So like I kind of got a high from it, honestly. Like I got a high from just changing, you know, this one thing about myself, which was I had a piercing, I didn't have a piercing, and now I do have a piercing, and it's awesome. Like I feel so different. Like I started, like I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh my god, I'm starting to look like the girls that I've always wanted to look like, you know? Like I feel so pretty. I feel hot. I feel like I look hot. And ever since I got this piercing, and then I've already had this tattoo, and then I changed my hair, I just started feeling like I look like the girls that I've always had a crush on, the hippie kind of punkish rock looking girls. And now that I do look like it, I'm like honestly having more confidence in myself as a person. Like I feel hot, I really do. And it might sound really stuck up of me to say that, but this is the first time in my life that I actually feel confident in the way I look, and I want to keep improving that. Also, people are like always telling me like, why do you wear such dark makeup? And it's like, well, honestly, growing up, my parents didn't really allow me to do like pretty much all that I'm doing right now. Like they never allowed me to wear dark makeup. My mom didn't like it. And then I wasn't allowed to have piercings because one, of my school, but two, my parents weren't going to pay for it. So now that I'm old enough, I pretty much just like honestly, having your own money is really awesome, but spending it on the things that you've always wanted to spend it on, like your piercings or your tattoos, it's such an empowering feeling. Like it feels so freaking good. And then the fact that you do it and you end up liking it, that's even better. But honestly, like I wouldn't, oh shit, I fucked up my eye. Sorry. But also like I was working jobs that I couldn't be myself in, you know? Like I couldn't do the things. Like I couldn't wear piercings because one place said that it was that piercings were like very anti-business, and that they would lead to bad morals, believe it or not. And I can't even say what company that is because, first of all, not that I would ever go back to them, I'm just scared of the people that they'll send out to like make me take down that statement, which I'm never gonna. And then there was another one that I definitely had to keep like a professional appearance at because I was like a PR girl, and I've lived my whole life with like rules and structure that I just don't want to live like that anymore, honestly. Like my dream is to like have my own business, and my dream is to just be my own person that nobody can tell me what to do. Like I am so sick. I'm just so sick of people telling me what to do, like at all. Sorry, I had to go and find some powder, and I had to go steal it from my mom's. Sorry, Mom. So yeah, like I'm of the impression that parents should allow their kids to get like whatever piercings that they want. Like kind of just figure out their own style. Like I know that like my mom really, like even though she grew up like in the punk era, like in the 80s, like with Motley Crue and all that, she absolutely hated when I wore black. And now she's kind of like now that I do wear it, she's like, oh man, it looks really good on you. Like the other day I wore black lipstick for the first time, and my mom was like shocked at how good it looked on me. And she didn't like that I used to wear black eyeliner a lot, but now that I work with it now, she's like, wow, like black eyeliner actually looks really good on you. And I'm like, I know, Mom, like, but now it's really hard because I really want to wear like the goth clothes, like the goth clothes that young kids are wearing now. Like I'm 24 and I know I'm saying like young kids, but when I say young kids, I mean young kids, the ones that are like 15 through 18 or 19 that are, you know, they have their style down and they look so good, and I'm so jealous of how good they look. And I feel like now I'm just catching up on like how to look good, you know, like I just don't know. I really want to wear the goth clothes, I really do, but I feel like I don't know how to style myself, and I feel like I really missed out on that opportunity to figure out the type of alternative person that I want to be, you know, like, because there's goth, there's emo, there's punk, there's Victorian goth, vampire goth, there's scene, also scene kids, which people can argue are not alternative, but they are, trust me. So it's like really hard now, but the cool part is that I do have my own money to like dye my hair, get my own piercings, and get the clothes that I want to get. It's just so hard because it's like I don't know what to get. And I think that's where like being a parent comes in, because you can obviously, like, you know, you could say, okay, like, I know you want to dress this way and I know you want to look like all the cool kids, but the thing is that these clothes are so expensive. How about we go to the thrift store? Because my best friend, she gets all of her cool goth clothes from like the thrift store, and they look so freaking good on her, and I'm so jealous because I'm like, oh, why can't I be smart like you? And she pulls everything together so well. But then there are websites that I'm like, no, like, if I want to get this dress, like, I have to get it at this one store because no other place has it. So yeah. And I don't like nowadays that how clearly people are gatekeeping their like communities. Like, people are really freaking like gatekeeping of like alternative culture. Like, if they see a girl like Charli D'Amelio online who is wearing like a Slayer t-shirt, they automatically assume she doesn't listen to the music, and it's like, well, how do you know that this girl doesn't listen to that music? And they like are upset because basic girls are now starting to become part of the alternative culture, which I will make the argument that a lot of basic girls, the popular girls in school, definitely did bully me for being alternative. Like, they made fun of me for the clothes that I watch, for the clothes that I wore, the shows that I watched, which were a lot of anime, and the music that I listened to, which was a lot of Slipknot, a lot of Marilyn Manson, and a lot of just Coheed and Cambria, just a lot of alternative stuff. I will make the argument that, like, being alternative is not necessarily cool, but if a person does want to wear alternative clothes, we've got to stop gatekeeping the community, because that makes us no better than the girls who made fun of us, the people in school who made fun of us for being alternative. And I feel like if we stop gatekeeping the community, more people will see how welcoming we are, and they'll want to be a part of us, and there will be less people being bullied for being alternative. Yeah, sure, like, the whole music thing is definitely a part of it, that's for sure, but like, we gotta do better, honestly. Like, we gotta stop being bullies. We just gotta be more accepting of each other. And if people like Charli D'Amelio want to make bands like Slayer and start dressing alternatively, more open to the mainstream girls, and that means that less girls will be bullied for being alternative, hey, I welcome it. But that's just me on a personal level. I still feel like it's really shitty that there are girls out there who, like I said, bullied me for being alternative, that want to be alternative now. And it's like, first of all, you owe me an apology for all the bullying. I did not like that blush. Let me try a different one. You owe me an apology for all the bullying you put me through in school. Which I know that they're not going to apologize, which is fine. I mean, I'm willing to be the bigger person for that. But still, like, an apology would be nice. Alright, so as I'm wrapping up my look for today, I just want to hear from y'all, like, if y'all enjoyed today's video. I want to ask y'all to leave comments down below to, you know, just tell me what you want me to talk about in the next episode. I am uploading, which was the whole point of me doing my makeup for today. I am gonna upload, or I've already uploaded, a video of my oh my god. Yeah, I just asked for y'all to leave comments. Sorry, I could not talk and do my lips at the same time. Yeah, I just asked that y'all leave comments as to what y'all like for me to talk about in the next video. If there is anything y'all want for me to talk about at all. Yeah, I just want to hear from y'all, like what y'all want me to talk about, if y'all want me to talk about anything. I also asked that if y'all have any stories that y'all want me to talk about, like any scary stories, definitely leave them down below and I will freaking do my research. There's nothing I love more than just a really good creepy story, or like a story with a creepy background or anything like that. Jesus Christ, nothing says time consuming like putting on your lashes, am I right? Well, like I said, if y'all have anything that y'all want to add on to this video, like if there's anything y'all want for me to talk about, just comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Share the video if you think it's really interesting, that it'll start conversation. So y'all have a lovely day, and I can't wait to see y'all next time. Don't forget to follow the link below for my ASMR channel. Y'all have a great day and love y'all. Mwah!